Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to wherever you are in the world. A very warm welcome to Leadership Insights with Prashant. आप सबको मेरा प्यार भरा नमस्कार. First of all, I would like to start by saying thank you to each and every one of you for giving amazing feedback, amazing love to this show. And a special thank you to those people who have reached out to me personally, telling me what is working and what's not working, and how can we bring more insights, more learnings, more perspectives on this show. So, a deep thank you to each and every one of you. Now, continuing our journey today to bring the perspectives and the awareness of leadership in various forms from various people, various achievers around the world, we have another amazing guest with us today. Now, our today's guest is an advisor with the United Nations and has served in different global locations worldwide in senior level diplomatic positions. He was earlier the CEO of Indira Gandhi International Airport, New Delhi, the busiest in India and 16th busiest in the world. He's been selected among the 12 Global Impact Leaders 2020 by a renowned accreditation group in London, UK. He's also an MBA, followed by advanced management courses at Oxford University, UK, and University of California, Berkeley, USA. He's a visiting faculty resource person to many renowned learning institutions and a keynote speaker in major conferences. Not just that, he's a prolific writer and regularly contributes articles on topical matters related to aviation and behavioral sciences. And a couple of his articles, which is Love Yourself, Be Your Own, and Being Boundless Stands Boundaries, published out of UK, are currently trending on social media. His latest book, titled Tough Roads Create Tough People, was globally launched in London on 30th June 2021. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, let's welcome our guest with us today, Mr. Inderjit Singh. Hi, Inderjit. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Prashant. Thank you. First of all, let me thank you very much for inviting me to this talk show, which has become very popular. And I'm really delighted to be here. And I wish also to thank the audience, the participants who are sparing their time to listen to us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Inderjit. It's a pleasure, and we're looking forward to learn a lot from you. So, Indrajit, first and foremost, the thing that I would like to start with is the legacy that you're leaving behind in this world, a gift that you have given to this world. And I'm talking about this amazing book. Now, this is a book that was launched this year, and this is a book that's going to be your legacy, a gift to the people where you have shared some amazing perspectives. So, what we would like to know from you, Indrajit, is that this book, I'm sure, is wonderful, and there must be a story behind this book. So, what is this book all about, and what is the key underlying leadership message that you want to convey to the world through this book?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for your compliments. The book is doing very well, and I'm told it is on Amazon weekend reading list for its popularity. And we are authors who have agreed that all the proceeds out of this book would go for a very good charity in UK for poor children who need square meals. So we said this would be our little contribution towards that. As you mentioned, the book is titled as Tough Roads Create Tough People. Uh, you asked me as to why, what was the incentive or what was the reason for going in for this particular book. Uh, uh, you made me sound like a celebrity author today. And in the typical celebrity author style, I would like to read the two or three opening lines as they always do.
Sure, that would be great.
And that's what it is. The first three lines, I would read it out. It says, in my life, in my life, I have lived, I have loved, I have lost, I have gained, I have missed, I have hurt, I have been hurt, I have trusted, I have made mistakes, but most of all, I have learned. So I am now tough enough because that's the name of my chapter called Tough Enough. The idea is that we go through life. For me, colleges, schools were a wonderful experience, but I personally feel that life is the biggest teacher and the biggest university, because there you are assigned for a month or 2 months if it's a refresher course, or if it's a course of 2 years or 3 years like I had in Oxford and in Berkeley. But but life teaches you lessons all the time. And it's been my philosophy. I mean, like, don't want to sound like a philosopher, but I always felt that there is, for me, it is either winning or learning. There is nothing like losing. When you are
Nice.
losing, you are actually learning for your next mission. If I go wrong somewhere in one location of the world for some reasons, then I have learned a lesson. So when I go to my next mission, or I go the same task I have to repeat, I'll do it in a different way, in a better way. Even while playing golf, maybe for that tournament, I may feel that I've lost. But
Hmm.
I have learned that why did my stroke go wrong? And next time I'm not going to play with that club, or I'll use another stance, or I'll do something else to get over it so that I don't make that mistake. So I emphasize on learning, and that's what the book is all about. And incidentally, tough enough, though I spelt it as Tough and Enough, TUFF and ENUFF is a 1986 studio album by Texas-based blues rock band and the Fabulous Thunderbirds. And I would recommend all of you, all my participants who are watching us, to listen to that song. That's so inspirational. And I actually did not pick the title from there. It's only after the book. I mean, I mentioned it in the book, but when the script was all ready, I found this lovely song and I said it relates with what I wish to talk about. Now, the premise of the book, as you asked, was that it is tough minds that really matter. When I'm talking of being tough, not necessarily muscular. Of course, it's good to have a good physique and a good body, but the emphasis is more on having tough minds. I mean, that's what takes you further. Like what Cassius Clay said, who is known as Muhammad Ali, the eternal boxer. He said, in the big leagues, everyone has the ability. It always comes down to mind games. Whoever is more mentally strong wins. Now, coming from a tough guy like Cassius Clay, and he's in the boxing arena, and he's talking of mind. He's not talking of his muscles and his punches
Hmm.
and all. He's talking of his mind. So that goes to prove beyond doubt that if you have a good, strong, clean mind, you can do wonders. Or let's take another instance, what Ralph Marston has to say. Again, a very well known football player. He said something which I think each one of us should remember every day. He says, don't lower your expectations to meet your performance.
Wow.
Raise your level of performance to meet your expectations.
Nice.
Now, this is so beautifully said that, sometimes we say, oh, I can't do it. So let's lower down my expectations. I would say no. Higher, take the expectations even higher, raise the bar, but make your performance superior so that you are
Hmm.
able to meet with the expectations. So this
Hmm.
is how you generally look into, and then when you read such quotations, they inspire you. And
Hmm.
then the thing comes in your mind that never say die.
Hmm.
Never say it's all over. World goes on, life goes on. People come and go, but our deeds, our legacy, or whatever you may call it, remains there. And that's why we are quoting such people after I don't know how many years since they left us. Or
True.
now we often refer to something like a woman of substance or a complete
Hmm.
man. Now a lot of people think that it's a myth or it's an illusion. No, it is not. I ask, why can't each one of us be like one of them? Why can't you and me and others become a man, a complete man? Or why can't each and every woman aspire to become a woman of substance? Because these people who sometimes we think that they are not real persons, they are some people who have lived and gone away. But I would say each one of us is capable of becoming a woman of substance or a complete man by virtues of what we intend discussing today, by those qualities of leadership. which I have
Hmm.
reflected in that book to some extent. But that book, that particular chapter would take you to a different plane altogether. I mean, that was my effort, that I don't want to repeat what the management books have been talking about.
Hmm.
We had enough of great authors like Peter Drucker. We owe them a good deal for giving us the foundations to understand what management is.
Hmm.
Management is not in the books, management is in the life, in the
Wow.
real world. Okay? The book is there, but what we pick out of the book, like my book, for instance, the book is just there, it's silent. When you read it, absorb it, and feel that there is some merit in this particular page, and you underline it and like to read it again, then I will feel that I've done my bit. Then I'll feel that it was worth sitting and writing my book, because that's not my profession really. My work takes me to a different plane altogether. But since I love, I've been reading all sorts of things, I thought whatever little experience I have, why not put it in my books? So
Hmm.
this is what it is. And I have, in particular in this book, referred to a butterfly and the mythical bird phoenix.
Hmm.
Those are two great teachers, I would say. They are the professors of management. Okay. When a caterpillar is about to die, she transforms into a beautiful butterfly. So I may keep on giving you lecture on never say die and try hard and you will be the winner and all that. But that philosophy of a caterpillar turning into a beautiful butterfly when things are just going to be finished. I mean, it is towards the end of the life of a caterpillar, the butterfly emerges out of the cocoon.
Hmm.
And same I can say for the mythical bird phoenix. They say that it comes once in 1,000 or 500 years. It's mythical, but the story goes that it comes out of the ashes. You know, from the ashes, the bird emerges again into a new life to live for another 500 or 1,000 years. Now, if we have such examples in our mind and we often remind ourselves, then little things, I know the gravity of pandemic, the current pandemic cannot be undermined.
Hmm.
But there are two ways of looking at it: all the time crying over it, or making efforts to see that, okay, if we have not been able to get over these viruses in the past, let this be the last time. Let's
Hmm.
do research enough so that, of course, we will have to do fine tuning when something like this emerges again, because we don't know what would be the gravity of it,
Hmm.
how fast it would spread. You see, like, I don't want to sound pessimist, but in the same breath, I may say I don't want to be over optimist. I want to be a realist.
Hmm.
Okay? We had such things in the past. We probably dealt with them as one time firefighting exercise, got over it, rejoiced, and went on. You know, like we always say, life goes on. But
Hmm.
sometimes you have to take a pause and say, why did this happen? Can't we
Hmm.
prepare ourselves? Like we all believe, let's hope for the best and be prepared for the worst. So,
Hmm.
this is the kind of message I have tried to convey in this book, that be positive,
Beautiful.
be strong, have a strong mind, and God be with you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Inderjit, for sharing that with us. Now, the bottom line message or the essence that I could get from what you spoke about is that when we say that tough roads create tough people, the message that you're trying to put across is mostly about the mental toughness, that it's
Yes,
a combination of your mind and your body. Body
absolutely.
gets a lot of attention in terms of toughness, but it is the attention that we need to give to the mind toughness is what is actually the foundation and probably the foundational
Yes,
block that you
yes,
can build the physical fitness on,
sure, you
right?
got it. I would add one more element. You said mind and body, I'll say mind, body, and soul.
Wow.
Okay, uh, we'll come to that, but it's very important. Mind and body would be left here, soul is what goes ahead.
True.
If you like
True.
me, or anybody from the audience likes me, or I like them, it's because what touched our soul. We never say, oh, your thought touched my body, or your thought process touched my mind. We
Mind.
always say that it's touched my soul,
So
and that is the essence.
Very deep,
A
very, very
complete
deep.
no no we are now talking in context of a complete man. We have established that each one of us today here sitting in the audience included are all women of substance, and they are all complete men. We
Hmm.
only are going to tell them why are they complete and
Hmm.
why they are the women of substance. I take it for granted each one of us has that potential.
Hmm.
It's only that you have to surface it. You have to
Hmm.
bring it out. Each one of us wants to be a good human being. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
still in my life, I have to come across somebody who feels or he thinks or he claims to be a bad man.
Hmm.
You know, my dear dad was the attorney general, and we used to discuss all sorts of things. He said even the worst of a criminal, when he comes and he pleads that he's very innocent, he says I was not
Hmm.
bad, the circumstances made me bad.
Hmm.
So many a times you have to think that what are those circumstances, and it comes back to your mind, conditioning of your mind. Why did you become so weak to be overpowered by the circumstances? I
Hmm.
know it may sound a little philosophical or impractical, but it is again a matter of keep on conditioning your mind, keep on making your, as you do physical exercise to build up your physical muscles, you have to build up your mental muscles also. I mean,
True.
to put it
True.
in a different manner. So,
Yes.
focus on your mind, focus on your soul, focus on larger than life things. And I think we are the winners. Okay.
Wonderful, Inderjit. Wonderful. Thinking about what you said, which is very true. There is something that we talk about as an honest truth. No, there is a truth that we say, but there is an honest truth that goes way beyond the truth. What you said, the combination of mind, body, and soul fitness, that's so deep, something that we need to reflect on for sure. And I also like the thought where you said we're not looking to find flaws, we're not looking to find gaps, we are looking to empower ourselves, we are looking to tell ourselves that we are already complete, we're already of
Yes,
substance, we're already
absolutely.
there. We just
Yes,
need to find that out. It's probably hidden somewhere, it's probably under
yes,
certain blocks of different emotions. We probably
yes,
need to bring it out forward and realize that I am that powerful, or this is
yes,
what I have, this
yes,
is who I am.
yes, yes.
And that's
Uh,
that's very.
yes, Prashant, here I must remember what I saw in a picture, a beautiful sculpture. So somebody comes and tells the sculptor that, what a beautiful sculpture you made. He said, no, it was a big piece of stone. I took away certain parts and the
Wow.
sculpture emerged
Emerged.
out of it.
Wow.
That means the sculpture, could it be a bird, could it be a god, or whatever you may like to say, it was already in that stone. He just took away the stone, the other stone around it, and
True.
the sculpture is there. So again, re-emphasizing that the complete man is in you. We have some extra baggage around us, take out that,
Mhm.
and that let that complete man within you, or a woman of substance, emerge. So that, I mean, it is, why should I say it's philosophy? It's real life. It
It
is real
is. It
life.
sure is.
Yes,
It sure is.
yes.
And everyone in the audience, I'm sure, is loving it. We are seeing some amazing comments that are coming our way. It's a deep,
Okay,
deep reflective thought that Indrajit is sharing with us. Something that we need to pause. I could have moved on to the next question and just continue to the interview. But I think this is something that we need to reflect on and understand that all of us here are complete. All of us here have that substance in us. And the beautiful example that Indrajit gave us of the sculptor looking at an image which is so beautifully done and not taking the credit for it, just saying, I just removed the baggage. It was already beautiful, it was already amazing. I just had to remove the baggage. So that's such a wonderful lesson, Indrajit, for all of us. And coming and building it into the context of leadership, as leaders, if I look at it now, the people who report to me, the people who are around me, the customers who work with me, now I am looking at it from this lens that they are already amazing. I don't have a weak team member, I don't have a superstar team member. Everybody has that potential, everyone can do their best, and they're already good. As a leader, I need to be that sculptor. I need to be that person who needs to understand what baggage is each and every person in my team carrying. How can I remove that to make that person the best that they can be? And as a leader,
sure,
that should be my role. So thank you for
sure.
bringing that forward, Inderji. That's a wonderful, wonderful
Sure,
lesson.
sure. I
Now,
also picked up from somewhere else, but the life is all about sharing. If I know something which is worthwhile, why not I tell you?
absolutely,
And then
Absolutely.
you tell me the same thing tomorrow in a different way. Okay.
As long as it hits a chord, as long as it touches our soul and makes us realize something, it works. It definitely works. Now,
Sure, it
another
does.
interesting see that I think that I see in your profile, Indrajit, is that there is a very beautiful balance. I see that you've been a leadership student at Oxford University, UK, and you've also been a practitioner of leadership across positions and geographies, across large enterprises. Now, based on these two things of education and experiences, this combination, what would you consider? I'm sure there are many, but if you had to just consider a few, what would be those prime virtues of a leader?
Okay, if you allow me, I like to correct you on one account. You mentioned leadership student. I was not a leadership student, I was a management student. You know, you
Okay.
don't have schools of leadership, you have schools of management.
True.
And we learn management in schools and colleges, but we learn leadership in practice. Okay,
Mm,
leadership is not given in books. Leadership is not given by the professor that teaches you. You
mm,
learn management skills, then practice them, and then through experience you become a leader. Because we are all managers, we thousands
mm,
of people go to management schools, but how many of us become leaders? So if we were taught leadership from the childhood, each one, well, I don't discount, each one of us is a leader. But when in our management jargon, we are talking of leaders who lead us, who are
mm,
at the top or the helms of the affairs,
mm,
on whom we look upon and say, okay, you know, when we are in trouble, we are in distress, and by virtue of his position, he's supposed to tell us.
mm,
We have all gone through the mill, but he has certain virtues, and that's why he is being chosen to be your leader.
mm,
I mean, you
mm.
can't have all generals, you have to have all ranks, and then you have a general in the army.
True.
Okay, because you
True.
need a point of control for everybody in
Mm,
every part of life, in every
mm,
vocation in life. So there are several leadership virtues. I mean, you can count them: integrity, knowledge, confidence, compassion, empathy, determination, courage, being a gregarious soul, being an influencer, like you told me, I'm one of the 12, and a team player, which is very important. I mean, even you are a leader, you are still a part of the team. So don't
mm,
forget that you are a team player first and foremost, and
mm,
then a leader. Okay. Now, since you specifically asked for one or two, or you said two virtues, what I rate as the prime virtues, which I thought has helped me to be what I am today, is adaptability. One, very
mm,
important, and humility. That's very important. You see, adaptability, because as a leader, you don't belong to an organization, you belong to the world. That's the way I look at it. Because if you are a good leader, you can't stick to one place for long, because somebody would see your leadership skills and pull you out from there. And
mm,
this has been my ambition until date, is that whenever I have taken a job, take it for granted that I'm here to learn, I'm here to deliver, and any time I may be going away.
mm,
Because when you are at the top, as you know, in our management parlance, whenever something goes wrong, the first head to roll is always the top man. So
mm,
you know that despite giving your best, the circumstances could be that you could be called off, or because by virtue of your good work, you may be called somewhere else. And that's
mm,
exactly what has happened. Like, I can quote a few instances where I knew the moment I joined, I said, I have limited 2 years here. I will give my best in these 2 years. But in between, if I picked enough knowledge and I'm called away for something better and a bigger assignment, I'll definitely go. And
mm,
that's exactly what happened. One thing led to another, and one another thing led to another, and I went on and on. So you have to get adaptable to different type of peoples, different parts of the world, because we are now in working at a global level. You know, we can't,
mm,
I mean, we can't compartmentalize ourselves into our own niches and say, okay, this is American aviation, or this is French aviation, or this is African aviation, or this is Indian aviation. I think it's all one aviation, because the standards are the same, which are
mm,
governed by where I work, International Civil Aviation Organization. Rules are the same. People are the same. You could be in UK 10 hours earlier, then you could be in Singapore 3 hours earlier, and then you are in India. So it should not be a culture shock when you are traveling from one country to another. All
Hmm.
airports, the local flavor notwithstanding, a little decor or whatever you may say, or the little different kind of food and all notwithstanding, by and large the level of service should be the same.
Hmm.
So today, hotels, airports, hospitals are more like global entities. So if I was to serve in India and then I have to serve in USA, I should be adaptable to that culture. I should be adaptable to that kind of work and the people, because after all, I have to work with people. Okay, so adaptability is very important. Humility is something that takes you very far, I have learned. The more humble you are, I mean, that doesn't mean that you have to be meek. No, by all means, be strong in your convictions. And when I was inducted in United Nations, they have a course in diplomacy for 6 months, actually. That only shows how much they rate as to what to say, where to say, and how to say. Today we are in an informal discussion, we can take a little liberties here and there. But when we go to a new place, we are very careful. We have to be very measured in what we are conveying. And many a times they told us, they said, okay, you are going to this country. The minister or whomsoever you are reporting may be very demanding. And many a times you have to say, go to hell. Okay. And so you have to say, go to hell. But
Hmm.
say it in a way that he looks forward to going to hell. I mean, look at the thought process that you have to say, no, I can't deliver this, or this is not
Hmm.
in our budget. So you may have to say, go to hell, but say it in a way that the person looks forward to going to hell. So, this is called humility, but present
Hmm.
it nicely. Humility doesn't mean, I was trying to explain to you, humility doesn't mean being meek on a yes man. No,
Hmm.
a leader
Hmm.
cannot be a less man all the
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Yes, if he can accommodate something, he should certainly do that. If he cannot, he should
Hmm.
have the guts to say so. So these two virtues, I think, is very important. And when I said global leader, I meant that same, because the technology is ever changing. Some technologies from here, some technologies from other parts of the world. So we should be adaptable to all those technologies. So you can
Hmm.
only become global if you are abreast with the latest, what's happening in the
Hmm.
world in that particular activity.
Hmm.
So, whatever is your activity, be perfect, be at a global level to understand it. Don't be just
Hmm.
satisfied with what you already know. Try
Hmm.
to explore, try to learn more and more. Then you
Hmm.
referred to me being in Oxford. Yes, it was a great experience. And when we were going for these courses and spending so much of money, our institutions were sending us, we thought that God knows what all we will come back with.
Hmm.
We will become super managers, but that is not the case. The idea
Hmm.
is they know that you are already managers, because you see,
Hmm.
they pick on people who are already serving, not straight from college. So when
Hmm.
I went there, I already had about 3 years of practice in the on the ground, in the fields. And they taught us, and I opted for behavioral skills. Though the course was advanced management, I wanted behavioral skills, because at that moment I was serving in a very large airport in Africa, Bole International Airport in Ethiopia, where I had to interact with people a lot, not only with the local government, but outside also as head of
Hmm.
that airport. So I thought behavioral skills would help me in interacting with media too, because that is a
Hmm.
very, very sensitive. We call our airports hypersensitive, but I think media is very hypersensitive. And you have to deal with them very, very carefully, because
Carefully.
they can make you or they can break you.
Hmm.
So you have to be very careful, because there you are not speaking as an individual. You are speaking on behalf of an organization which has sent you there to regulate whatever your work you are doing. So you
Hmm.
have to keep in mind that you owe a great deal to those people there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, so I picked on emotional intelligence as my elective subject, and that changed my perception about management in a very, very big way. So
Wow.
the management or working in an organization at the hands of the fair was not only ROI, the return on investment. Yes, that's important because you have to earn to plow it back to grow the organization. See,
Hmm.
nobody is going to give you subsidy. So if I
Hmm.
want my particular airport to enlarge, I have to put money into it. And where do I get it? I earn and then plow back into the same organization.
Hmm.
But my biggest asset is not those buildings and the runways and all that. My biggest asset is my people there.
Hmm.
I give you a very good example. These large mammoth airports are sitting there these days doing nothing
Hmm.
because there are no passengers, there are no people. So it only
Hmm.
goes to prove my point that it is not, your assets
Nothing.
are not those properties. They are there worth billions and trillions of dollars sitting
Hmm.
there. We are just maintaining them, pampering them so that they are functional when the traffic opens out. Of course, fortunately for us, in last 6 months, the traffic has touched almost 48% of the 2019 traffic. But imagine 100% and then 43 or 44% is a
Hmm.
large gap
Hmm.
because we break even around 67, 68%. So, we are all running at loss.
Hmm.
So this is what is important about emotional intelligence, because since you referred to my studies in Oxford, so what we thought was that we know they are going to give us management and all that. Yes, they took it for granted that management. Now please polish,
Hmm.
use it in a beautiful way, your management skills, so that you again give the best of your IQ and EQ put together, a very judicious mix, because sometimes your EQ has to be superior or higher proportion of it, like it's making a cocktail, what drink to add in what quantity.
Hmm.
So sometimes IQ, sometimes EQ. I experienced a major strike when the prime minister was about to land, and we had to give a very, very, when there is such VIP movements, we have to give a coverage, fire coverage, and they suddenly went on strike. Now I had to go and handle the situation, and I couldn't say I'm from Oxford or I'm from there, and they would say, who cares? So I had to deal in their own style, in their own language, and I think we sorted out. We agreed that okay, we will have a discussion later on, but let's get over this
Hmm.
situation. Everything
Hmm.
went on well. So sometimes a good mix of EQ, IQ works together in a better way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderfully said. Thank you, Inderjit, for sharing that. And right from the time when I asked this question and the correction that you made, what's such a beautiful lesson that I mentioned leadership student, but you said it's not leadership, it's management students. And the lesson out
Yes.
of that was management is what you probably learn from books, but leadership is what
Yes.
life teaches you, what
Yes.
experiences teach you. And
That's right.
then
Yes.
then you went on to say that emotional intelligence is what you picked as a subject, and it's also amazing to see how aware these universities are in understanding what is required at what level. There is a certain level till when you need to understand management, only then this will make sense. So they picked up on people who would be able to relate to it, who will be able to grasp it or will be able to implement it. So that's a beautiful thing that you brought out. And an important lesson that you mentioned here, which was underlined, was that EQ and IQ both are very important. And you said it's like a cocktail. You need to know which cocktail are you preparing. There is a cocktail which needs 30% of this and 70% of this. There could be a different one that needs 80 of this and 20 of this. So
Sure.
you need to
Sure.
understand what situation demands what kind of a cocktail, and you need to mix it accordingly. And
Sure.
EQ plays a huge role in that. So thank you for
Sure.
sharing that with us,
Yes.
Indrajit. Now, you mentioned adaptability and humility, these 2 points as the prime virtues. And you also mentioned something which was being a global citizen, working at a global level. And pandemic has made it a reality for us. Like, a shopkeeper who is in some corner, who had no clue outside 3 kilometers or 3 miles of his shop, now is actually supplying at a global level. He's suddenly been exposed to the whole world because things have
Yes.
gone online,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
So we
Yes.
truly have become global citizens, and adaptability and humility, these 2 points that you mentioned as leadership skills and as life leadership skills, have become so critical, have become so vital, because now the graph has gone to a very different level, the exposure has gone to a very different level. So I'm glad you
Sure.
brought those points out with your experiences. Now, a question that I have for you is, now we understand that these two are very important, right? Now, from your experiences, Inderjit, if you had to just reflect back, how would you think and say that adaptability and humility have contributed to your journey of becoming the leader that you are today?
Okay. There are one or two reasons I would say. What I mentioned was sum total of my experience of personal and professional life. You see, professional life, you exercise what you know. In personal life, you get to know and then exercise. You see,
Can
you
you
have
say
to
that again? Can you
learn.
say that again? I want to reflect on that more. Can you
Okay,
say that again? That was
okay.
brilliant.
You see, when because I mentioned that we learn a lot from professional and personal life. Okay, professional life, what I go and exercise at my workplace is what I have already learned.
Mm-hmm.
But when I come into the personal life, I learn.
Wow.
So first I learn and then I exercise that learning into or practice that learning into my
Wow.
functions or
Mm.
obligations or duties, whatever you may call. And
Mm.
I'm not limiting my duties and responsibilities to office only. No, we are
Mm.
responsible to everybody. In today's talk, we are responsible and accountable to every minute of these lovely participants who are listening to us. Okay, so that again is a very big responsibility on part of both of us, that they have spared their time. So whatever we say should be meaningful enough,
Mm.
okay, to the extent possible. Okay,
Mm.
so I mean, nothing is perfect. I mean, we can't, we should strive for perfection, but let's admit none of us is perfect. We are all work in progress. Actually, I would say
Yeah,
we are
yeah,
we are not
yeah.
complete. We are work in progress. Every day we are organic. We are evolving. We are building ourselves. Okay, and the day we feel that we are perfect, then that's the end of it. Okay,
Mm.
so, but coming back to your question, you see, one is I had this advantage of uh, having born in a country uh, far away from. I mean, like I was in Africa. My dad was in a work. He was in the legal profession, so his work took him to all the British colonies because he did his bar at law from London, got inducted into civil services there, and then he was assigned to different countries in Africa. So that changed my outlook in the sense that you go to a new place, you have new schools, you have new friends, you have new nationalities, you have different cultures. So adaptability came in automatically.
Mm.
Uh, then I had the good fortune of studying in different parts of the world. So the learning process, though they say it's standard, but it varies from country to country. Then you get to know each and every perspective of the people, the the
Mm.
the the, the, the philosophies they follow. And then I've been very spiritual in leaning towards life, and I've read things like Rumi and Khalil Gibran, Richard Bach, Sanju, these type of peoples, and I've been doing it from my college time. So all that got into my mind, and
Mm.
then I have always been observing small things, and I learned a lot. Like in London, I'll share one small story which I'm sure would be very good for all of us to remember. You know what tramps are?
Mhm.
Tramps are like they are people who are highly learned. They look like they go in their tatters, clothes, and their little hat on top. The nearest person I can think of, let's say Charlie Chaplin.
Mm.
And in London, there is this Hyde Park, and there is a speaker's corner there. So in the speaker's corner, they don't announce that I'm going to speak and all. They come at that corner, and it's a liberty to come and speak anything that you want. You can
Okay.
go anti-government. You can speak for the government. You can call names, in the sense you can say whatever you feel like, and no action would be taken on you, because that is meant to be speaker's corner, to unwind yourself. So I met a professor. I mean, I just listened to him very carefully for a few minutes, and then when the crowd dispersed, I had a word with him, and he happened to be a professor from Boston. And he said, I said, well, he says, now I enjoy my life. I've done my bit and I'm here. And then we both sat on a bench and we started talking. I was always wanting to learn something. And I said, okay, tell me about something and all. Towards the end, he says, hi, you are here tomorrow? I said, yes. He says, would you like to meet Liz? So I said, you mean Elizabeth Taylor? because she's known as, and I said,
Yes.
she's not known and she's not here in this country. He said, no, 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 Queen Elizabeth, I meant.
Wow.
And he pulled out a paper and writes, "Dear Liz, my friend Inderjit would like to have a cup of tea tomorrow with you," and gives it to me. I mean, it's all a story in the sense I witnessed it. It's a fact. But like he doesn't mean me to go to Buckingham Palace and
Yeah.
have tea with the Queen. But it only reflects his confidence, and
Hmm.
it is confidence personified, I would say, and
Hmm.
the positivity the man has, and he's a learned man.
Hmm.
That conveyed to me, don't take your life very seriously. When you are in a park, talk, have a park like discussion. Don't bring in big other things, the nuclear disarmament and this and that. All that will take place. There are people who are doing that all the time. But
Hmm.
here, face the realities. Another
Hmm.
thing which I learned was, see, the confidence of a person, not out of ignorance, but out of
Hmm.
knowing so much. A professor from Boston, you know what all it means.
Hmm.
Then another thing which touched my heart was what the Persian philosopher Mirza Ghalib said once. He said that don't carry grudges with you. Okay, we can always have differences between us.
Hmm.
Get over them as soon as possible, because even in our aviation parlance we say that if you want to fly high, be lightweight, don't carry extra baggage. I mean, you will again link it up with that sculpture stuff,
Hmm.
but don't. He said, I pardon people who inadvertently may have hurt me, and I seek pardon from those whom I would have inadvertently. Nobody deliberately hurts anybody, but
Hmm.
inadvertently, if I have hurt somebody, I will seek pardons. And if somebody has hurt me, I will forgive him.
Nice.
So that you are fresh for the next moment. Just get
Hmm.
rid of that negativity, of harboring ill feelings, negativity, and go in for positivity. Replace negativity with positivity. So when you learn such things, by it was not planned to go and sit in Hyde Park and meet this person. You coincidentally meet. And no, I would not even agree that coincidence. I feel nothing happens by chance. Richard Bach has said in his beautiful book called Nothing Like Chance that our meeting today is not by chance. There was some reason of bringing us together and the audience to have an interaction.
Hmm.
So the universal forces are working in some way or the other. When two people meet, okay, you meet by chance in a plane or you meet by chance at an airport. But if the destiny brings you again at the next station and then unexpectedly at another third station and totally unexpectedly at the fourth station, then you say that there are strong forces that are playing to bring us together. Let's
Together.
honor it. Let's respect it. Don't take it, oh, I just met you by chance. No, it's not
Hmm.
by chance anymore. And this is not me, it's Richard Bach speaking,
Hmm.
that there is nothing by chance. So it was destined for me to be there at that moment, walk
Hmm.
up to the speaker's corner, meet this gentleman now who has become a lifelong friend now. And he keeps on suggesting to me, okay, you address this university, because he's highly connected, and I do that. I said, sure, thank you very much. And he goes on speaking, I keep on listening. So that's the way it goes on. Our friendship is carrying on since several years now. So these are the few things, like you asked me as to what's the sum total of my experience. So personal, professional, put together is what makes you what you are.
Super. And Indrajit, something that I can very evidently notice, and I'm sure the audiences also can, that you mentioned a very important point, which is also the underline. We've been speaking for 44 minutes, and if I see the underlying current, there is something that is underlining our message, our conversation is, it show the humility factor that you spoke about is very constant in your entire conversation, even when you're not speaking about it, because you mentioned learning from life, and I understand from your thought process or your words is that you can only learn from life when you are humble enough to accept that life has something to teach me.
Yes.
Someone
Yes.
with an ego will not have that awareness of sitting with that person in the park and have that conversation. Somebody
Yes.
with that ego will not have that much awareness or humility to listen to that speaker in a corner in London to see what he has to say and have a conversation with him. So for us as leaders and as living beings, as humans, for us to be humble, it is not something that we can just accept and say that, okay, from today I'm going to be a very humble person. This is something that comes from experience, this comes from doing and accepting from the fact that everybody in our life, whoever comes in, whatever
It's
experiences come
important.
in, one, they don't happen by chance. And number two, they are here to teach us something. Are we open enough to learn from them? Are we open
Yes.
enough to take things from them? So humility is
Yes.
something that's reflecting in the entire conversation that you're having with us, Inderjit. So thank you
Okay.
so much for that. And it shows that it is required. And I have seen, I shared it with you as well, that one quality that I have seen with achievers, whenever I have experienced them, whenever I have spoken to them, they're always very humble. I've seen people who are underachievers have a lot of arrogance, and people who are achievers do not have arrogance about them. And that is something that's very constant that I have seen, that when I have spoken to somebody who is someone and has achieved something in life and is contributing to the world, that person is so easy to connect with, so easy to talk to, so easy to understand. But somebody who is not there is full of arrogance, full of ego, and that is where humility comes in, if you need to be a learner. So thank you so much. I wanted to sum it as short as possible, but the learning is so immense that I just can't control myself. So guys, humility is very important in life, in leadership, constantly learning from people around us, constantly learning from the experiences around us, because they don't happen by chance. They're there for a reason. It's our duty to see and seek that reason for it. So thank you so much, Indrajit,
Sure.
for saying that.
Yeah.
Now, another wonderful thing that has happened, and congratulations to you for that, is that you've been
Oh,
recently chosen as one of the top 12 global influencers in the year 2020. So, congratulations for that. That's an amazing achievement. Now, with this recognition, I understand that also comes a lot of responsibility, right?
yes.
Now, as leaders, I have faced it, and I have seen other leaders face it, that we can easily get overwhelmed and burned out under this pressure of responsibilities and expectations. And this is amplified and has taken a very different scope or a very different vision in today's world, because today's world is very dynamic and it's rapidly changing. So what do you have to say about this? Have you ever felt this way, and how have you dealt with these kind of emotions?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for your compliments on my being chosen as one of the 12 global influencers. Uh, I accepted that with grace and with lot of humility. I mean, it made me more humble and send me a signal to discover more about myself and be a better version of myself. Because I said that if recognitions can come, maybe there are more in store. Again, I
Hmm.
don't want to sound selfish, but if a recognition comes, you feel that. And I always believed, Prashant, one thing always is that you get what you deserve and not necessarily what you desire.
Hmm.
There is a difference between the two.
Hmm.
You can desire for anything. Incidentally, in this book, my author also is a Nobel laureate, the one I told you. So we are co-authors. So one could desire to get a Nobel Prize, but if you deserve it, you'll get it.
Hmm.
So sometimes it's better to keep on doing things, choose a good path, put your best effort, and then leave it to the universal forces. If you deserve it, you'll get it. If you don't deserve it, you'll not get it. And you'll not
Hmm.
get it today. Maybe you'll get it after 1 year. Maybe you'll get it after 2 years. I mean, that is the what you have to condition your mind. That it is
Hmm.
God will give you things, but in His time, not in your
Hmm.
time. That remember that Almighty is watching you.
Wow.
If He feels you
Hmm.
deserve it today, He'll give you today. If He feels that you deserve it next year, it'll come next year. Don't have to worry for that.
Hmm.
Okay. In the meantime, let some other person get it. Your turn will also come. So, then you also mentioned about burning out, which is a fact. When you are in a high intense kind of work environment, it does work on you. Whatever we may say, good mind, strong mind, conditioned mind, and all that stuff, but it still works. So I have learned two lessons, which I thought are three lessons, which I'll share with you. One is that you should prioritize your work. You should know what is urgent and what is important. Okay,
Hmm.
everything seems to be urgent these days. Making
Hmm.
a call to a friend is very urgent. Fixing up your golf game today is very urgent. You're having your meal and a medicine at the right time is very urgent. Everything is urgent. But then what
Hmm.
is more important? So
Hmm.
you know how to sift. You have to check what is my priority. Which,
Hmm.
like we talk of consequence management. I mean, that's another new jargon in management. Is you look at the consequences when you are going to do something. If I
Hmm.
don't take my medicine, or if you don't take a medicine at a particular time, if you are in that category where the health can get deteriorated within a few seconds, then
Hmm.
that is important. Okay, that is urgent and important. But then there are a
Hmm.
lot of trivial things which sound to be urgent but they are not important. So if you were
Hmm.
to just decide on, and then do it in, I mean, do urgent things also, but put
Hmm.
important things first.
Hmm.
Speaking like
Hmm.
professionals, speaking like professionals, and a professional is also a real man or a woman. So we can't draw a very strong line between the two.
Hmm.
And then you should have a very judicious balance between work and leisure.
Hmm.
So work also is a reason for burning out.
Hmm.
So when you decide that this is not urgent, I can do it possibly tomorrow. Now that's not procrastination.
Hmm.
Shifting a non-urgent work to tomorrow is not like calling it off. You will do it,
Hmm.
but you
Hmm.
will do it at your own pace. You want
Hmm.
to attend to the important. So half your problems are sorted out there and then. And that half time, use it productively for listening to music, meeting friends, going to the bar, have a drink, chat with a friend, do whatever, go and play golf, which I think is wonderful. I mean, that's my passion number two. So after work, I mean, I must, because I don't see golf as a game alone. It's a beautiful place to meditation.
Hmm.
You focus there. You can't
Hmm.
take off your eyes from the ball when you are hitting it, and then you
Hmm.
can't think of the world around you. We play at 42, 45 degrees, and we don't
Hmm.
even feel. Somebody has to remind you that it's so hot today, and we don't
Hmm.
talk such things when we are playing. We don't
Hmm.
talk of temperatures and all. We only focus on our game. So that is
Hmm.
a meditation. So if you were to take these simple things, and then
Hmm.
of course a spiritual leaning,
Hmm.
not only thinking but implementing tasks with
Hmm.
that kind of an emotional intelligence also is a big uh, what you call buster. It busts off your negativity energies and all
Hmm.
that stuff.
Hmm.
So it's a stress buster. All
Hmm.
those kind of things are stress busters. And once you are through with that in a limited period of, let's say, 2 or 3 hours, then get back to your work. Your
Hmm.
productivity will be much, much more than
Hmm.
if you were to continuously keep on doing your work all the time.
Hmm.
Because you want to sustain, sustainability is very important. If I do a wonderful job tomorrow and I am burnt out by evening and I can't do anything tomorrow, then
Hmm.
it was not worth my working so much because the work is not yet finished, it's in progress. So if I'm not there tomorrow with the same energy, I won't be able to complete it. It will be half done.
Hmm.
So if you want to make it full done, conserve that energy for tomorrow, nurture it further, bring it at a higher level, and use
Hmm.
it tomorrow. So see, again, it's a very judicious balance of whatever you do. I think, in one word, I think life is all about equilibrium.
Hmm.
As I see, an equilibrium between IQ, EQ, an equilibrium
Hmm.
between work and leisure, an equilibrium in relationship. Don't get so very close to somebody that it creates problems and friction.
Hmm.
Wait for the time when the person wants to bring you closer. Patience
Hmm.
is very important. I mean, one of the biggest virtues again is patience. I
Hmm.
mean, sometimes we become impatient. We want the results there and then. No, wait. Again, if it's due to you, if you deserve it, you'll get it. So I
Hmm.
think a lot of our energy gets burnt into these kind of things. If you
Hmm.
were to tell me, I'm going to give you an award, I've recommended you for an award. I shouldn't be asking you every day when am I getting the award. I
Hmm.
cherish the thought that you thought I'm fit enough to get that award. You
Hmm.
inform me. Let me wait for that good time when you call and say, oh, award is coming tomorrow, come and collect it. So,
Hmm.
patience, very difficult. I'm not trying to be above average. I mean, we all
Hmm.
are average. I mean, we want to aspire to become better versions of ourselves, but we
Hmm.
all are impatient most of the time.
Hmm.
So we have to get over all those things. Then conversation instead of confrontation. I always, when I used to meet large groups where I was the leader of a team, I could sense that some people, when they're coming for conversation, are actually in a mood of confrontation. They won't even listen to you. They won't let you even complete your sentence. They already have an answer ready in their mind because they came prepared to confront you. That should not be the situation. Go for a good conversation. You agree, you disagree, or you agree to disagree. I mean, these could be the three situations. Whatever is the best in the larger interest of the organization or your life, go ahead with that. Then I also feel cooperation vis a vis conflict. If two, three, four, or 100 people are working together, let there be no conflict, let there be cooperation. And maybe coordination instead of contradiction. Okay, if I am hell bent on contradicting to whatever you say in a meeting or in any walk of life, you can't lead anywhere. Then what you drop that person. In our government parlance, we say that when a top man or a minister is trying to become difficult, just suggest, sir, there's a very good new airport come in Honolulu, why don't you go and visit? So when he goes away, you take the decision immediately. I mean, these are the games we play when we are in high positions, and where you can afford to even suggest a minister that it would be nice if you go and see that place. And they keep their bags ready to move out because they're very fond of traveling on government's expense. So this is what is management by experience. You try to play all those things. Yeah.
Very
So
interesting thoughts.
burnout is not a
Yeah.
big deal. It's how you
Yeah.
manage yourself. Yeah.
Very true, very true. And very interesting points that you mentioned to handle that. You started with priority management, that we need to be aware of our priorities. We need to understand what's important and what's urgent. You mentioned about consequence management, that a way to find out your priorities is to understand what will happen if I don't do it, or what will happen if I don't do it now. The
Sure.
understanding of importance and urgency both. And a very
Sure.
interesting point that you mentioned, and which gets sold as procrastination, and it worries a lot of people, is that if you reschedule things to something to do tomorrow or next week or next month, immediately don't tag yourself as a procrastination and go and start finding videos on YouTube. How do I get away from procrastination? I'm a procrastinator.
No,
You're
that's
not.
what.
It's prioritization, that you understood
Yes,
that it's not important right now, it's not something that
yes,
needs to be done today, so you scheduled it to be done at some day. If you don't schedule it, if you run away from it, that's a different story. But if
that's
you
it.
understand your priorities, then that's not procrastination. Very valuable point. Another
You
thing
are
that you
very
mentioned,
wise,
because
Prashant, I must say.
I'm just picking up the lessons from you, because we have to be learners. This is what I have learned from life,
Yes,
constantly learning from anything and everything. And you're
yes,
bringing up some valuable points. You mentioned something again very interesting, which was when you play golf, you see it as meditation, because that is what you are focusing on and you don't know anything else. Now, this brings a very interesting perspective to us, because a lot of times it happens that people, and including me, we try to find a different time for meditation, where we need to just meditate and probably
yeah,
listen to some guided meditation.
yeah,
What you brought forward, Inderjit, is that understand the objective of it. The objective of meditation is to stay in one state of mind and to stay focused, and no distraction, nothing else coming into your mind. And golf does that for you. And
yes,
similarly, I think for all of us, we need to find that one thing that we enjoy in life, and actually get immersed in that for some time, every day, every week, whatever schedule works for you. And that itself is meditation. And that experience itself is spiritual in nature. So that's a beautiful point that you
yes,
brought
yes,
across. And you actually solved a big problem. A lot of people have this problem that we can't find meditative time in our schedule, or it's difficult to sit at one place and close our eyes and meditate. That is not required. The objective can be met while you're having fun as well. So thank you for
absolutely.
bringing that up.
Meditation, you can do with eyes open. You don't have to be still. You don't have to sit in that particular pose to meditate. Meditation, as long as you are focused, that's
Hmm.
important. I mean, the meditation, I don't know, I haven't checked the synonym, but if I was to create a synonym for meditation, I will say focus. Just
Hmm.
focus on what you are doing at that moment. A lot of
Hmm.
people take pride in multitasking. Okay, that is fine. When you are driving a car, you are shifting the gear, you are using the horn, you are doing all that. That is multitasking in a different way, because
Hmm.
that all that leads to a particular task of driving.
Hmm.
So, you are doing three, four, five things simultaneously. You are switching on the music, you are switching off the phone. I mean, all that is happening without your knowledge. It's just happening. It's become a
Hmm.
part of system. Same focus should become a part of your daily system.
Hmm.
So when I'm with you, I'm with you.
Hmm.
I don't have to ask you, are you listening? Are you with
Hmm.
me? Many a times we have to do that.
Yeah.
So, when we are talking to each other, I take it for granted that you are listening to me, and you take
Hmm.
it for granted that as far as possible, my mind is with you and not
Hmm.
with what I have to do after 4 hours or 3 hours.
Hmm.
Let that time come. We will tackle it then. We'll cross the bridges when we'll reach them. Why worry about them right now? Okay.
True. Very, very valid points. Thank you, Inderjit, for sharing them.
Yeah.
In the interest of time, we will go to the
Yes.
we'll one last question. And for the
Okay.
audiences, please start putting in your questions in the comments. If there is something that you want Inderjit to answer, we'll probably pick up a question or two. And it's our commitment that we will come back to this post later. And any questions that go unanswered, we will answer them on the chat if you're not able to answer them on the live session right now. That's our commitment to you. All right, great. So the question that I have for you, Indrajit, now we spoke about your experiences. We understood the prime virtues of leadership. Now, one thing that I have observed, and that's very evident, is that our world has experienced a lot of devastation since 2020 pandemic. Right,
Yes.
people
Yes.
have suffered, the businesses have suffered, each industry has
Yes.
been impacted differently. Now, one
Yeah.
industry that, as a consumer, that I observe, and I'm sure as a professional, you would know much more about it, is the aviation industry. Right, air transport has
Yes.
remained one of the hardest hit global industries right from the beginning.
Yes.
I remember
Yes.
my family had traveled to our hometown, and they got stuck there because I was booking tickets every 2 weeks and it was getting cancelled. I kept booking tickets every 2 weeks and it kept getting cancelled. There was a lot of panic that was in us as families, as people. But looking at it from an industry point of view, there is so much that was happening in the air transport industry as well, right? Now, being as one of the top leaders and experienced professionals from the world of aviation, can you throw some light on, what should or could be the most urgent course of action for the aviation industry to recover and resume the heights that it was at?
Of course, yes, yes. I think that's a very important question and very relevant because I have a little aviation background. Uh, the If we are to look at the economic impact after a due diligence and a good analysis, we found that in last 1 year we have lost 500 billion US dollars in aviation alone, of which 370 billion were towards airlines, because aviation comprises of airlines, airports, and aircraft manufacturing. uh, 370 billion airlines, 115 billion US dollars towards airports, and 13 billion towards the air navigation, which is a very important component of aviation. Now, 500 billion, and mind you, aviation is not a self serving industry. We don't do it for ourselves.
Hmm.
Tourism, trade, commerce depends on aviation.
Hmm.
Tourism alone has hit a low of 2.7 trillion US dollars, not billion, 2.37 trillion dollars. The tourism industry has lost, because you see, 98% of global tourism is through airlines,
Aviation. Hmm.
okay, and through our airports. I mean, you can go to United States, take a cruise, you can go by ship to some other Mexico and come back, but basically you are traveling by air to that place. You
Hmm.
can go to Africa by air and then take road transport to go and see the safaris and all that, but
Hmm.
predominantly you are going by air and coming back by air. So
Hmm.
it has really been, but the triggering effect has been even worse, the rippling effect on other industries. The world trade, 26% of the global trade is by air. All the high valued but low volume stuff like diamonds and this and that, all that is by air. Medicines, life
Hmm.
saving medicines, which are very, very expensive, they're all by air. Look at now, we have vaccines. Unless
Hmm.
you have air transport, you can't take vaccine around the world. I mean, aviation has become the byword. I mean, it has to be there all the time.
Hmm.
So you're right. Now, you asked me about what are the two things or three things that we must be doing. There are two-pronged efforts or twofold tasks that we are doing. One is to revive air traffic. Okay, so we are upgrading our airports to the best possible way for touchless and contactless processing of passengers. So you don't have to, hand over your passports or anybody by different hands. Nobody will touch it. So we have all those gadgets from which you can do that. Even your baggage is scanned, and nobody, no porters and all will touch it. It will take straight to the aircraft and bring it back to you on your conveyor belt, and you will lift it from there with your own hands. So the idea is those things have been included. Of
Hmm.
course, temperature checking and all, I mean, that goes without saying. We take care. Now, most paramount, the important thing is to build confidence
Hmm.
amongst people to take them back to the skies.
Hmm.
See, we human beings are very sensitive. Once bitten, twice shy. Okay. So once we have gone through all this, it will take us a very long time to come into that state of mind to take to air or to skies as we used to. Let's say you are in a different station, probably this discussion could be, okay, you come over or I'll come over and we'll have a chat across the table. And it's not very
Hmm.
difficult. Just
Hmm.
about 1 year back, that is what was the norm.
No.
But now that is not possible. So the
True.
point is that we have to bring people back to skies, not for our own selves, but for them. How long can you be under house arrest? Today's the situation is like house arrest. Even in prison, you are given time to go out for a walk, and that's what we do now. So the
Hmm.
point is, I mean, within the prison premises, you can walk. Here, you can go up to the garden. But how long can you do that?
Hmm.
So it's human. We can't be tied down. We are
Hmm.
made like this to go around, meet people, meet friends, chat, come back, then get back to work and all that. So
Hmm.
all that is disrupted. So our second important task, one is to upgrade our infrastructure, be it airlines or airports or whatever, to meet to the standards laid down by the World Health Organization, not if not to eradicate the virus, but at least control it or contain it. I mean, that is first attempt. Then, of course, to eradicate should be the long term goal.
Hmm.
How long can we keep on suffering from SARS and MERS and Ebolas and now COVID 19?
Hmm.
I hope there is no COVID 24 or COVID 29 forever. Let's pray
Hmm.
that nothing like this
That
happens
happens.
again. But
True.
just prayers will not take us that far. Our research people, our people in the medical profession should make it a point. They can't gaze the crystal ball. They can't know what intensity, in what way it will come. But it is a
Hmm.
virus. I mean, this was a virus of a higher magnitude. you
Hmm.
know I recall, I mean, I am told, if I don't recall all, because I've not witnessed all those Ebolas and SARS and all that stuff, but the point is that symptoms were the same. People
Hmm.
were wearing masks then also. They're wearing masks now also. But this time when it started, people were running around to get masks. They were not even prepared to manufacture masks in a big way. There were no
Hmm.
kits. I don't say create 6 billion masks or 7 billions, the population of the world, so many masks ready, but have the wherewithal so that overnight you can prepare it. A
Hmm.
garment factory can have that stuff there, or they should know where to procure it within a day's notice and
Hmm.
manufacture it in 2 days. So that is what is called potential or future management that we should be
Hmm.
doing for all these things. So these were the two important aspects. One is to upgrade ourselves to the extent possible, and number two, to inculcate that sense of confidence that
Hmm.
our skies are safe, our airports are safe, our aircraft are safe. Take vaccination,
Hmm.
because there are different theories. Some people think that it won't help. Okay, to whatever extent it will help. If even if you get it later, the severity will be low. The
Hmm.
world knows that. So do that. Do that. Go along with what's the normal now. It's taking it is essential. Do it.
Very, very well said, Indrajit. This that brings us to this interesting question that's been put here for us. It says, Indy, what do you think is the best thing that has come from the pandemic?
The best thing. Oh, We have, who is the person who is asked the question? Very
It
good
is
question.
Hakun Rian M. Ancient Euland.
Okay, Hakun, I think that is a very good question. That what should be the what should be the course of action?
No, what? So everybody is talking about things that are not right in pandemic, but there is also a
Oh,
perspective on
yes,
what is the
yes.
best thing that has come out of pandemic. What do you think
Okay,
that one
okay.
thing
No,
is?
no. Yes, yes. I got. Okay, very good question. Excellent question. Because there is always a blessing in disguise. Again, trying to be positive. Accept Acceptance is very important. I mean, no point saying, "Oh, I wish it was not there."
Hmm.
It is there. Accept it that it is there.
Hmm.
And the best way to do is that we learn a lot of lessons out of it, and it has made us resilient. I think a lot
Hmm.
of people, and it has grounded us. I think that's the
Hmm.
biggest virtue. It has been a big leveler. Prime
Hmm.
Minister, presidents, you, me, everybody has come on the
Everybody.
same platform. Nobody is high up there or nobody is low down there. It
Hmm.
has been a big leveler. I think this was universe has actually shaken to awaken us. I sound
Well
like a
said.
poet now.
Nice.
The
Yeah,
universe has
shaken to
actually
awaken us.
shaken us to awaken us. You see,
Nice.
sometimes you are in your slumber, that
Yeah.
everything is good, everything is cool, everything is nice. But then the universe says, now you become too lethargic. Let me shake you and awake you.
Yeah.
Why didn't you, after I gave you MERS, Ebola, and SARS and all, why were you not awoken enough to look for a remedy? You see?
Hmm.
Your car goes out of service for a day, you get disturbed. But
Hmm.
here, the world went into tatters when all those things happened, the viruses. But we
Hmm.
forgot. It was like one time firefighting, the band aid or the quick fix solutions. Okay. And then we started rejoicing that, oh, everything
Hmm.
is gone hunky dory, everything is fine. No,
Hmm.
that time was the time to focus and say, if this has happened, something worse can also happen. Let us
Hmm.
be prepared. Okay, we don't want wars, no nation wants wars, but we have an army, don't we?
Hmm.
We have an army. You don't want Nobody wants to die, but we take insurance. So
Hmm.
something like future planning we do always, so there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong. When you fix up your alarm for getting up tomorrow morning, god forbids, you're not sure whether you will wake up,
Hmm.
but you
True.
still fix an alarm
Alarm.
hoping that you will wake up and you
Wake
will
up.
switch it off. So we
Nice.
all do things in good faith, and we
Yes.
should continue doing things in good faith. I wanted to get away from this bookish knowledge. That's why I shared
Hmm.
a lot of thoughts which come to my mind instantly. I mean,
Hmm.
I had no agenda or any points to discuss. It all evolved as we started talking.
Yes, yes. And I'm glad it did, because you again bring up a very important life leadership lesson that a lot of times, even in our life, there are things that happen and we just ignore them. Or as you said, we just put some quick fix or band aid on them, saying that, it's a one time thing. I don't have to worry about it. We don't have to get deep
Yes,
into it. But then you
yes,
don't know that there is an undercurrent running where the issue is evolving, even in the organizations, even with your people, even the culture of your organizations. A lot of times we just put band-aid on things, saying that, okay, there is a conflict here, it's all right,
yes,
I fixed it. So
yes,
you need to go deeper, you need to understand what are the issues before it slowly and steadily eats away the entire culture of your organization. So
yeah,
a very vital point that you brought forward,
yes,
Indrajit, as a life leadership
yes.
lesson is that stay positive, look at things as they are in a very realistic manner, hope for the best, but you also need to parallelly prepare for the worst. Like he gave an example of why do you have army, why do we have insurance? All that is required so that in case the worst happens, we are prepared and we are not taking things
Yes,
lightly. So thank you
absolutely.
so much for that
Thank you.
lesson, Indrajit. And
Thank
in the
you.
interest of time, one last thing before we end today's conversation, anything that you would like to tell our viewers who are leadership enthusiasts, any message for them as a last comment for today?
Oh, yes. I think same. I would say that be yourself. My last article in a beautiful UK magazine was love yourself and be your own. Okay, be original. Don't be a copy of anybody. Okay, you have people whom you admire. Pick up the best in them. See if you can bring in, don't force it inside you. If you
Mm,
can absorb that, if it suits you, accept it. And
mm,
just love yourself. I mean, that's the most important thing. You see, if your cup is not full, how could you offer it to somebody else?
Wow.
It is not being selfish. A lot of people said, when I did this article, there was one team from Nigeria, they asked, one question was asked, isn't it being selfish? I said, no, not at all. There is a lot of difference in self love and self conceited. Being self conceited is wrong. Okay, self pride is important, but being
Mm,
proud and thinking that you are the best, you are the God's gift on this earth is wrong.
mm,
Everybody is God's gift on this earth. So important thing is, when I say be self awareness, self love is very important. If you like yourself, you like the world. So
wow.
my message to the world is that start loving yourself, cherish yourself, in turn cherish others. And if you are cherishing yourself, people, it's a law of attraction. Okay,
Mm,
if I am happy, the person who will look at me will also feel happy.
be
If I am
happy.
frowning, the other person who will look at me starts frowning. So it's
True.
the law of attraction works like that. So
Yeah.
you tend to do what you see in somebody else. If we are positive today, I think we have spread a little positivity. But if we were crying all over the time about what damages have been done and this, of course, we had to quantify how many billions we lost and all, and that's very
Mm,
important. But we are
mm,
not crying over it. We are trying to see how we can. 9/11. Remember what all happened?
yeah.
The
Yeah.
world thought that the aviation is doomed. We'll
Yeah.
never bounce back.
Come
My
back.
philosophy, again, in one line, is the harder we fall, the higher we bounce.
Wow.
You
Wonderful.
got it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. So
Okay.
on that
Yes.
note, and learning of the harder we fall, the higher we bounce, note that we need to love ourselves. And the underlying message of the entire conversation, which has come up again and again, is humility. It That is what is driving everything. So with that message, Inderjit, I would like to thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your life experiences with us. Thank you so much for being so honest and so real, of not sharing bookish knowledge but real life experiences that we can relate to and that actually touched our soul. So thank you so much for that. You have a wonderful
Thank
day,
you.
and someday we'll
Thank you.
probably come again and share a few more experiences with audiences.
Sure. And thanks to the audience. Thank you very much, all of you who are there, who have been listening patiently to us. Thank you. Thank you, Prashant, for inviting me again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, audiences, for loving us. Thank you so much for participating and engaging with us. And as we promised earlier, that we'll get back to this post on various social media platforms. Any questions from you, any comments from you, we will respond back. That is our promise. On that note, thank you so much. Take care. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you next Saturday at 11 a.m. Goodbye. Take care.